returning, welcome back. So today's video is another installment in my monthly makeup spin wheel roulette series where if you've been following along, you know one video picks out the makeup for the next week via the roulette wheel or the spin wheel as you want to call it, and then kind of towards the end of the month then I come back and I do a full-length video talking about how I feel about all the products for the month, and it's really been helping me kind of decide what I want to keep and what I don't want to keep coming to clutter time. So really beneficial for me. I also tend to post some short videos of all the looks that I tend to create with it. Sometimes if there's not a short, there's usually pictures over on my Instagram, and sometimes there's a short and the pictures over on my Instagram, which is also Sweets Cosmetics Corner. So I will link that below for you guys to check out. I used to post my TikTok too. I haven't posted my TikTok in a while. I tend to like cross share my stuff because I don't have the same, most of the time I don't have the same followers on each platform, so I tend to just share everything I create on various platforms. But yeah, I really need to get back into my TikTok again. But today's video is going to be me creating a look. It might be similar to what I've already created. We'll see. I'll try my best not to, but sometimes I've used all the shades and I get kind of similar looks. But I'm going to use all the products that were picked for October, and we'll talk about them as I'm using them. And then we will finish out the video, but stay tuned for the video picking the products for November. That will be coming too. Sometimes that goes up before this video. Just depends on which one I get edited first. Typically the spin wheel first because it's a little easier to edit. This has a lot more talking usually, so it takes me longer to edit. Okay. But I have I do want to say I have a whole playlist created with everything related to this series if you want to check it out. Okay, so let's start off first with the lip scrub that was picked, and that was the Glamlite Garfield Coffee Scented Lip Scrub. Okay. So the same caveat I've been giving with all of these type of lip scrubs is if you like something that's kind of moisturizing and a lip scrub, kind of a jelly material, you're going to like these. I, however, prefer a dry lip scrub. I have not been able to find a alternative to the Jeffree Star ones. I'm still going through all the Jeffree Star ones that I have. But I prefer to find an alternative. So if you guys know of anyone who has a dry lip scrub that is equivalent to those, please let me know in the comments. But these are good. These are good lip scrubs. They're just not my personal preference. And I will say with this one, I'm not a huge coffee scented person. I don't drink coffee. I never have. Well, let me rephrase. Every once in a while I'll drink like a French vanilla cappuccino, but those are typically more sugar for me than they are coffee. I'm not a coffee person. I never have been. I don't like the taste. I do like the smell of like like you walk down the coffee bean aisle. I do like that smell, or like freshly brewed coffee, but I just don't like the taste of coffee. This definitely has the scent of like a fresh brewing coffee. That being said, I do like the smell, but this one's kind of intense to the point where like when I'm putting it on my lips, it makes me a little nauseous. So yeah, other than the fact that I'm not a huge fan of, you know, like these jellier type consistencies, the smell on this one is just too overwhelming for me. I put the lid back on without putting it on. Let's give me 1 second here. So we're just going to take a little bit out on my nail. And then we're just going to rub it in. And right away I can feel like that jelly moisturizing type feel, and then I feel the scrubs. Yeah, that scent. I mean, if you love the smell of coffee, like love, love, love the smell of brewing coffee, you'll probably like this. It's too intense for me. Alright, so I don't lick these off my lips. I just wipe them off. Okay, so lips feel more moisturized, definitely smoother. Like I said, they're good products. They're just not my preference. Alright, so moving on, the lip balm that was picked was from, I think it's C'est La Vie Beauty. This is their Strawberry Shortcake Lip Balm. So it's this component. They've released a lot of these in like kits. I've been seeing them all over like TJ Maxx, Ross, Bell's Outlet, all the discount stores basically. Gabe's, all those kind of places. I got most of mine, if not all, from Bell's Outlet. I might have got one or two from TJ Maxx, but most of them came from Bell's Outlet. It's nice, smells like strawberry. Just a typical lip balm, nothing to really write home about. It just kind of reminds me of like the lip smackers and things like that. This one does need a little bit, has a little bit of a red tint to it, but nothing major. I just see it when I like go to wipe it off on a tissue or something, but doesn't really do it too much on the lips. It's more like a hint of a pink shade that goes on there, but it's nice, nourishes the lips. Don't have anything bad to say about it, just a basic lip balm. Alright, moving on. So the next step that I do is my primer, and the primer that was picked is the Milani Conceal and Perfect Blur Out Smoothing Primer. And I used this for the first time in my full face of Milani, which I will try to remember to link up in the cards and down below. I liked it then. I put it on one side of my face, and then I put another Milani blurring primer on the other side of my face. And I did like this one then. The only thing I was a little concerned about when I first used it is that I felt like my face itched a bit. I've had that happen one other time with this. So, like I said before, I'm someone who has pretty sensitive skin, so I have to be careful with certain products that I use because sometimes they can cause a reaction with me. But I've been using this a decent amount this month, and I have fallen in love with this primer. I love how my base looks every single time I use this. Even when I'm using it with a foundation, I'm not that impressed with. It definitely helps. So yeah, I really like this primer. I love the innovative packaging, how they made the scoop part of the packaging. So you just slide this out to scoop the product out. Now I will say the one thing that takes me a little bit to get used to, but I think it would be really nice in the summertime, is once it's on the skin, it has a bit of a cooling effect. So I've been taking about that much product, and you guys can see I've dug a decent amount in there, but I mean I still have a lot left to go through. And then at first I was like kind of like going like this and putting it on my face, but I've discovered that if I put it on my finger first and then I just kind of press my fingers together to kind of get some of it on, so I can kind of spread it to the areas that I want to put it in. And then the way I do this one, I start with like pressing motions, especially the areas that I want to fill in more, like the forehead lines. I love to use blurring primers to help fill in my, or smooth out my forehead wrinkles. It doesn't make them disappear or anything, but it does help smooth them out. And then kind of like right here with the crow's feet area, I just find that works really well. And then once I get it pressed in, then I start kind of like rubbing across my face. making sure that it's pressed all in. And I mean right away you feel the cooling. It's very nice primer. I think it does a very good job of smoothing and blurring. I mean, it went viral over on, I believe, TikTok for a reason. It's definitely worth it. And Milani's a pretty affordable brand. But yeah, definitely keeping in my collection. Alright, so next what I like to do is my brows while I'm letting this sink in. So brow products, what was picked was the Makeup Revolution Brow Crayon that I got in an advent calendar. And these are like those waxy brow pens. You don't really see these much anymore. I think brands just kind of went away from them because they're not popular anymore. I really like them, especially for my thin brows. I feel like they do a good job of kind of helping me carve out where I want to shape my brow a bit in the beginning. And it helps, I've noticed, with the brow pen or pencil that I use, mostly brow pencils, pencil that I use, it helps it glide through my brows a lot smoother. Let me just grab a mirror here. So the way I like to use it, now I will say I do go through it rather quickly, because once I've used it once or twice and then I have to sharpen, and then I use it again once or twice and had to sharpen, so I've had to sharpen it twice, and I'm sure after this I'll probably have to sharpen it again. So it does go down pretty quickly. I mean, it is a smaller wax pencil, but I like to go against the hairs first, and then I'll go back across and kind of flick up motion just to kind of help me start the shape. But I have my, I believe it's Essence one that I had gotten first in an advent calendar, and I really like it. And then I got this one in the Makeup Revolution advent calendar, and I really like it as well. They're pretty much the same thing, only this one was a little bigger than the Essence one. But yeah, I really like these for helping me kind of shape my brows to start with. And like I said, it makes things glide a little easier. Alright, so then the brow pencil that was chosen is the Essence Baby Got Brow. This is waterproof in dark brunette. I don't know about this being waterproof, because I feel like it comes off pretty easily, even with not using the wax pen beforehand. Now this is the type that has like this kind of flat angled applicator, and let me show you, this is still how much is left. So still have a decent amount left. I originally thought I didn't have that much, and I thought I was going to be able to finish this when I was doing the spin wheel, but alas, no. And I've been using this pencil for a while. This used to be the favorite type of tip that I liked, but I've been slowly transitioning and liking and enjoying more the nano micro brow pencils, because I have a little more control with them. That being said, I do still like this pencil because I do feel like it glides on very easily, and it does have that like angled tip so that you can turn it to its side if you want and use it to do like flicking motions for your brow. Alright, so there is one brow. Then I like to go back in with a spoolie and work it through. And then I just try to match my brows as best I can. Those brows are sisters and not twins. like I've said before, I love the shape of this one. This one wants to try to go more straight than arched, but I prefer the arch. But I try my best to arch it. You guys know brows is my least favorite thing to do because I just feel like I'm not the greatest at it. But I will say I do have to do it because I have naturally light brows because my natural hair color is not dark. Alright, so there is that. Like I said, still really enjoy this pencil. Alright, so there are the brows for now. I'm going to set it with brow gel here in a minute. But yeah, I really like this pencil. I thought initially that I might let this go since I've been enjoying the micro brow pencils more. But I do feel like I still want to keep this in my collection. We'll see when I actually start my declutter if I want to change my mind or not. But right now, yeah, I think this is probably going to stay because I do think it still performs pretty nicely and I like the tip of it. Okay, so I've just been setting my brows with the Beauty Crop Brow Friends Forever. I'm getting pretty low on this. I've been trying to use it up. And I just like, and I'm honestly like having to like kind of dig around in here to get that much up. And I know it looks kind of disgusting from all the brow pigment that's been going back in it. Not much I can do about that. And then I just run it through my brows. I believe I got this in an Ipsy Glam bag. And it's a nice brow gel. It does a good job of holding up my brows. But again, I don't have that much brow hair. So you'll have to find another creator that maybe has thicker brows, see how maybe they feel about it. But I enjoy it for my brows. And then I just try to shape. I'll have to fix that. Okay, that's a little crazy. Let me tone that down. Okay, I might have to go through with a spoolie to fix that. So I was trying to get a chunk of brow pigment. I do think it might be time for me to go ahead and toss it because I feel like it's starting to like leave some chunks behind. That it didn't do before whenever I would do my brows. Alright, moving on. Okay, so we're going to start with the eyes now because I know there's some fallout with this palette that I don't want to get on my face if I already have my base done. But the eye primer is from Kiss, and this is the Kiss Glamlite Black, I think it was like Backstage makeup or something like that was the name. I have used this in one video, one short where I used it on the lid to kind of create a bit of a smoky eye. And then I did use this as like my liner for a Glam Frankenstein eye look. I'm discovering about myself that I don't really like color-based primers. I think I'm just not experienced enough in makeup to make them work for me. Because I've tried Beauty Creations ones, and I feel like every time I use a color-based pigment that I don't like my eye look. I know there's plenty of people out there that love to do that, and their eye looks always look great, so I'm just going to assume it's just a user error on my part. But yeah, I'm not going to use this today because I don't want to go ahead and set myself up for failure with this. But that's how I feel about it. I don't think this is going to stay in my next declutter for that reason. I know I could use it as like a liner, like on the upper waterline or things like that, but I just would rather use a liquid liner or an eyeshadow to do that, so don't really have a use for this in my collection. Okay, but the eyeshadow palette that was picked is from Shroud Cosmetics, and it's the original collab that she was Bean at the time, but now she is Battybean here on YouTube. It's the It's Freakin Bats palette. I know she doesn't really promote this brand anymore because of what went down with the brand, so I can understand that. But it is in my collection, and I do like supporting Battybean or Bean, or her name is Betty Jean. I do like supporting her because she is a super sweet person. Just the few times I've messaged her on Instagram, she's really nice back. And I love, like, it's no secret, I've told you guys she's one of my favorite creators. And I love the eye looks that she comes up with. She's just so talented. And even the color stories, like, I don't know how she comes up with these color stories. But if you don't know her, you know her whole vibe is like a spooky aesthetic, pretty much year round. So these are like perfect collabs for her. These like spooky Halloween ones. She does have two with this brand. This is the It's Freakin Bats, and then she has the Halloween, and then she just came out with a new one with Fantasy Cosmetica called the Witch's Familiar. And yeah, it's good quality too, so if you want to check those out. But let me grab an eye primer. I'm just going to use the Makeup Revolution one that I got in an advent calendar. And then I just like to take a concealer style brush and blend my eye primers back. One of my favorite ones is from Singe Beauty, which is in Yellow-Canicfus brand. This is the FO2 brush. I know other brands have this shape now. I really didn't see it in any other brands before her brand. Maybe there was one, I just didn't see, but this is the first time I ever saw this type of shape, and I really like it. Okay, so I know I've used pretty much every shade in this palette. Let me look and see here what eye looks I've kind of done. So I used quite a bit of like the purple and the blues to create like a purpley blue look. I also created like a tealy blue look with the teals and the blues in it. And I know I did like kind of a halo-ish eye with some of the like purplish grays and things. I did do, I think, a greeny look too. So let's see. Probably going to do something pretty similar today to at least one of the looks. Right, so I think what I want to do I think I'm going to go into Adams. And I'm going to put that in my crease. And I'm just going to use the Singe Beauty EO2 for that. And these mats are very pigmented. As you guys can see. I do hate that the issue that happened with the brand kind of like not answering people for a really long time about their shipments and things to do with like health issues that were going on, and the brand just kind of suffered for that. Just left a bad taste in people's mouths because they weren't getting any responses, which I can completely understand. Alright, so next I think what I'm going to do is go into I want to go into Dairy and maybe try and deepen that up some. Just like that dark purple. I'm not going to take as much in that because I'm hoping not to make this look muddy. Yeah. Because I want something kind of deep and grungy today. Alright. And I'm going to go back into Adams. Just kind of go back over what I previously did there. Then I'm going to take a bigger blending brush. This is a Singe Beauty E03, and I'm going to go into Spooky, which is like that lighter blue. This is kind of periwinkle-esque, and I'm just going to bring that pretty much almost all the way to the brow bone. This shade is mostly a blending shade for me. I don't think it's that pigmented. Okay, just gonna go back in to all three shades and add intensity back in to my crease. I will say this is probably gonna be a messy eye look that I'll have to clean up with makeup wipe at the end. I'm gonna go back into Adams. And then bigger brush into Spooky. Then I think I'm going to take Dairy and I'm going to go on the outer edge here. And just add some depth to the outer edge. Okay. Now, I'm going to grab a glitter primer. I'm just going to use the Bella Beauty Bar Shimmer Stay one. And I'm going to apply that to the majority of my lid, except for where I put that matte in the outer corner. And I'm just going to tap it with my finger. Okay. Now, shimmer wise, I want to go into, I'm going to go into Grim first. It's beautiful, like teal shimmer, like a dark teal. I mean, look, that's so pretty. And I'm going to put that right here. And then I'm going to bring it up a little bit above go into Handbook, which is this gorgeous green shimmer. And I'm going to put that right beside of that green, or turquoise I mean. And then just go back and forth between the two. Okay. Then I want to go into Sam, which is this kind of like goldy, it's almost like a minty green blue shade. I'm going to put that right here. Again, bringing them up into my crease. Very pretty. Okay, and then I want to go in with Zero. This is like a lavenderish shade. I'm gonna put that right at the front here. Oh yeah, pretty. Kind of took over that lighter green a little bit, but let's see if I can get it back in between. Okay. Alright. And then Apparition, I think I'm going to say for the inner corner of my eye. But I'm going to go back in with the blending brushes and just kind of dip into each one of those mats I used and just kind of blend them back in a bit. Went a little too high with my shimmers, but shimmers are my favorite thing in a palette, so I don't mind that. Go back into Atoms and blend as well, and then the bigger fluffy brush into Spooky. And back into Dairy. And I'll put that right back here on this outer corner. You guys know purple is my favorite color, followed by teal, so I love anything that incorporates purple and teal together. Alright, I'm going to repeat that on this eye and I'll be right back. Alright, I am back and I did clean it up a little bit. But before we finish the eyes, we're going to start on face products. So let's start with the foundation that was chosen. So it's the Catrice HD Liquid Coverage Foundation. It's mattifying, water, and sweat-proof second skin effect. So initially Desert Beige was chosen for me, and that was way too dark. So I switched to the 030 Sand Beige for myself. So this is a dropper formula, which are typically not my favorite, but this one does have a decent dropper. I hate the ones that like you have to sit and keep like digging in there to try to get it to come out, but this one you don't have to do that. And I will say this is a pretty full coverage foundation. It is mattifying, which you guys know is not my preferred foundation look. I prefer glowy. So that's already one thing that is a negative for me with it, is it's mattifying. The second is it's too full coverage for me. I just feel like I have to apply very, very thin amount of it in order to like it, and even then it's still not my favorite. But my biggest complaint is it is highly, highly fragranced. At first I thought it was, when I was smelling upon application the first time I used it, I thought it was because I used a rose scented cleaner that I got from Shop Miss A to clean my brushes that day. But no, I had since cleaned my brushes with just the Dawn dish soap, and I went back to apply this again, and then I went and smelled the inside of the bottle, and this smells like a perfume bottle. I cannot handle it. It is intense. So for that reason, it will not be surviving in my collection during declutter time, because I cannot handle something that has that much of a fragrance in it. I have so far, knock on wood, haven't had any issues with it, with irritation, but I just can't handle the smell. Too intense. And so I just take the brush and go along, and I did squirt it onto like a little glass palette type thing. Let me wipe this lip balm off, because I like to go over my lips with the foundation as well. Oh man, the closer I get to my nose when applying it, it's just way too fragranced for me. I do not want to smell. It's almost like baby powder scented. I think that's what it is. I think it's like a baby powder scent, but it's overwhelming, and I do not like it. And it's just too full coverage for me. I like a more medium, light to medium buildable coverage. I don't like super light coverage, but I do like at least a good medium. Full coverage I don't like, because I feel like it clings to everything on me and just settles too much into texture, too much into fine lines and wrinkles on myself. So I don't care for full coverage because of that. It just looks way too heavy. Now, like I said earlier though, what did help has been helping make me kind of enjoy this foundation is putting that malign blurring primer underneath. That helps quite a bit, but yeah, it's just a no for me on this foundation. I do like their True Skin foundation though, I will say. I do like it better than this one. This one is just way too full coverage for myself. So unfortunately, yeah, that foundation is a no for me. Just, again, personal preference. If you like something that's more full coverage and mattifying, I think you'll like it. I don't like mattifying, and I don't like full coverage. So, I will say, though, it does last. I will say that, because it's still pretty hot here in Florida, and every time I've used it, it's stayed put. So, I will give it that. Let me just wet my beauty blender so I can try and give it a little bit more of a chance here. That's the other thing. Normally I do not wet my beauty blender anymore. But when I have a full coverage foundation like this one that likes to settle, I do like to go in with a dampened sponge to kind of help blend it better. Because when you use a brush, it makes it even more full coverage. Alright, so let's move on. That's my thoughts on the foundation. Move on, we're going to do concealer. So the concealer that was chosen was a color correcting concealer, of course. This is the Sigma Spectrum Color Correcting Duo in Light Medium. And I told you guys I love this product. I've been using it for a while, and I'd already hit pan in one shade, and I told you guys that I would most likely end up hitting pan on the second shade during this month, and sure enough, we did. You guys can see the big old pan in the lighter shade, but we got a decent sized pan here in the other side now too. So this is a cream product, so it is easier to hit pan on cream products like this. So I will say that because I feel like if you're someone who uses this every day, it's not going to last you very long. Because this one I use just really on days that I want to do quick makeup and get out the door, but kind of cover up my problem under eye situation. I just dip back and forth into both shades, and I'm just using that same brush from Singe Beauty. And you guys can see the difference. Color correcting, none. See, it's very brightening. Has a nice peachy undertone for my under eyes to help cancel out that darkness. Now I will say this is not very full coverage, so if you're wanting something more full coverage, you're going to have to go in with another concealer on top, which is what I tend to do on those days. I've been trying to use up my Tarte Shape Tape. I do think it's on its last legs though, so I may end up having to toss it before it's completely empty. But this is great for those like no makeup, clean girl kind of aesthetic thing. Very, very nice for that. Love this product. I will say I think it is a little pricey though, if I remember correctly. But I mean, it is sold out like all the time anymore. I'm gonna end up having to repurchase at some point, but for now, we will just use up what I have. Nice. Love it. Okay, so I've just been setting my under eye with the Catrice Under Eye Brightener Setting Powder in Light Rose. Love this. It is a tiny, tiny little powder, but I mean, it's meant for your under eyes. So I get why it's tiny. But I will say it does do a good job, as you saw from my video last month when the Warm Nude was chosen. I had to use it as a face under eye powder because it's too dark for me for a under eye powder. I had to use it for a face powder, not an under eye powder, because it's too dark for my under eyes. I think I said that right that time. So I just take a little bit on, then I tap it out on the back of my hand to try to work it in the sponge, and then I just tap across. And I do like to go ahead and set my under eyes before I continue with cream products. I will say, even though this is tiny, it is lasting me quite a while. But I don't do my makeup every single day, so I will say that. Okay. And I don't feel like it looks heavy or anything under the eyes. It's a very lightweight, finely milled powder. And then sometimes I just kind of like to go back in with a setting style type brush. And I'll use the Singe Beauty F04 usually for this, and just kind of brush across too to help it blend in a little more. Okay, so let's move on now. And the next cream product we're going to use is from ColourPop, and this is the Bronze Stick from ColourPop, and I have the shade Moonstone Beach. I really, really like this product. I love the convenience of the stick, and still have a decent amount of product. Yeah, that's how much product I still have left. I will say, I don't have to work real quick with it, but I do have to. Let me grab a mirror. I'm trying to do this in the viewfinder and I'm drawing it wonky. I do have to make sure that I don't let it set too long though, because if I do, it starts to dry down. Blends well with a sponge, blends well with a brush, and is super easy to draw with a contour. I will say I do like the shape of the LYS one better for drawing, just simply because it has that little point on it that makes it easier. I'm just going in with the Beauty Blender. Sometimes I do the brush, sometimes I do the Beauty Blender, sometimes I do both. Just depends. Usually if I'm trying to do it quickly, I'll do it with the Beauty Blender. Just be mindful that the Beauty Blender does pick up more product than a brush would on your face. But it's a nice creamy bronzer. Sometimes I have to go back with a brush under my chin. And very easy to use. And I do feel like Moonstone Beige is a decent shade for me. Alright, I'm just going to grab my Tarte Shape Tape for a second and do my little highlighty areas I like to do on my face. Okay, I shook this up the other day, so now it seems to be working better, so I might end up taking the stopper out of it. I try not to do that till I absolutely have to, because it gets a lot messier when you do. Because it's not stopping like the excess coming out. Alright, so next liquid product we're going to do are the blushes that were chosen, and these are Beauty Creations. This is their Barely Blushing Duo. These are minis in the shades, oh, am I going to be able to read that? Passion Pink and Coral Blush. And I've just been mixing the two. I will say these are already feeling like they're getting low somewhat. So I don't know if there's really that much product in here. It kind of seems like the bottle might be frosted to look the color, but we shall see. This is the lighter of the two. Now I will say I do have to work pretty quickly with these, otherwise they dry down a little patchy. And they are very pigmented, that they do blend out nicely. I do think I, however, are probably going to end up moving these into my travel mini makeup vanity area, just because they are these smaller products, if I keep them. Because I do have other products in my collection that are very similar to these that I like the formula of better. These are not horrible though, and they do blend out nice, as you guys can see. I do feel like the Coral Flush though on its own on me is a little too dark. That's why I like to mix it with the Passion Pink one. But yeah, I think I got these in an Ice Cream Beauty box, beauty bag, one of the two. Nice little products. Fun fact, if you don't know, Beauty Creations is the first brand I ever my very first video I ever posted on my YouTube channel was Beauty Creations mystery boxes, and I haven't bought any in a really long time. I will say some of Beauty Creations products are very hit and miss for me. I'm not a big fan of their eyeshadow palettes, but that's just simply because I like something that has a higher impact shimmer. and more colorful mattes. Theirs are more of like the buildable formula and a more everyday natural kind of shimmers, in my opinion. At least the palettes I've used. Not saying that's bad, it's just not my preference. But yeah, these are a nice formula, and as you guys can see, I mean, it was easily blended out, and you can build them. But like I said, you do have to work fast with them because they do dry relatively quickly. Okay, so next is the cream / liquid product that I absolutely hate. So this is the Makeup Revolution Bright Light Highlighter. Strobe Champagne is the shade, and it says with quartz. As you guys can see, I've been wiping this package off. It is so disgusting. It goops up and leaks out around this edge. And literally, I bought this new, and it dried up mostly inside of the package and got kind of chunky. So the way I've been having to apply this is I've been having to take my finger on the little tip here, because if I don't, it looks very spotty and lifts my makeup underneath. So I just take a little bit on my finger, and then I kind of tap it into the areas that I want to put it in. And then I'll tap with my finger. It's a pretty shade. I will give it that. It is a pretty shade, but I do not like the formula. The formula is horrible, and the packaging is horrible. So if they put this in a different packaging that's better, I would probably like it more, because I do like the shade. And it needs to be a thinner formula for me. This is way too thick of a formula, and this packaging is just utterly disgusting. Let's see if I can get it to focus on it. You guys can see it is all over the applicator, everywhere. This is going in the garbage. This is not staying in my collection. And you go to put the lid on. When you go to put the lid on, everything seeps out and gets all over your other makeup. Hate it so much, just for that simple reason. Trying to find somewhere to stick it. There's should be a short, and you might be able to see when I applied it first with the sponge, and it looked bad. So yeah, not a product I would recommend. Alright, just going to go back over the sponge real quick. Okay. Alright, so let's move on to powder. So we have the powder bronzer, which is from the Wet n Wild Care Bear collection. This is the Live, Laugh, Hug bronzer. Looks like this. Super nice bronzer. Really very flattering for my skin tone. Now, I will say that I do have to, instead of like tapping in this one, I do have to swirl in order to get kind of the pigment to come up. So that is one thing I will say I'm not a fan of, because I like to be able to tap into mine so I don't get too much pigment. But this one you have to swirl in order to kind of get the pigment up on your brush. But I do think it is a very nice natural shade for me that I'm okay with not being like super heavy-handed with it or anything. Now what could possibly be happening to it is it may be getting a little hard panned. I don't think so though, because I think I had to do this when I first got it too. But it is a very nice bronzer. It's one of my favorites, and of course the packaging just adds to it, especially if you're a 80s baby, 80s baby slash child into the 90s like myself. Speaking of the Care Bears, I'm not a huge fan of the new look of the Care Bears. I like the old style of the Care Bears, but I know they gotta update it for the kiddos so they'd be more interested in it. Same with Strawberry Shortcake. I know they've done several different versions of her by now. I will always be partial to the originals, of course. I mean, that's my generation. I'm going to be that way. Alright, but as you can see, very nice formula. Super easy to use. I mean, obviously the shade is not going to be for everybody, and there was only one shade in that collection. But it works well for me. Alright, so then the powder blush that was chosen. So the powder blush that was chosen was from Milani, and this is the Baked Powder Blush in Luminouso. I don't think this is the original formula. I think I got the re-release when they like brought it back out and maybe reformulated. I will say it has calmed down some. When I first bought it, there was a lot of kick up in the pan. Let me just see here before I start running my mouth again. Yeah, it's not doing that now. The past 3 times I went to use it, it's not been doing that. So I don't know if maybe it was like a top layer that I needed to kind of work through to get it to stop doing it. Because now it's not making a mess. Because before it would get all over my desk, all over my clothes. It was very annoying. Now with this blush, I really don't need a powder highlighter. Especially since I did a liquid highlighter underneath, but this in itself, I mean, it's called Luminoso, so it has a glow to it, and you guys can see it's very easy to build. Love it. I think it's a very nice shade. I can understand why a lot of people like it. Very nice, very nice formula. Like I said, you know, it's not doing it now, but in the beginning it was going to make me have to declutter it because of the excess powder that was coming off of it, but I guess it heard me go, oh, I don't like you. And now it's like, oh, well, let's just do this and make you keep it. Okay, but let's move on. So we have powder highlighters to choose from. So we have a single powder highlighter, and then we have the face palette, which is a highlighter palette. So we have the ColourPop Frosty the Snowman Winter Wonder Supershock Highlighter. Love this. Love ColourPop Supershock products, especially the highlighters. Those are usually my favorite. And this is the pearlized one, obviously, because it's a highlighter. It is funny to be using a Christmas themed highlighter during Halloween month. But it's been very nice. I've been using it kind of like for inner corner, brow bone, face highlight, all that kind of stuff. But the other that I've been enjoying is the BH Cosmetics Illuminating in Ireland 6-color highlighter palette. That's what she looks like. Now, I will say with this one, I've been really only been able to use 3, pushing it with 4 of the highlighters in here. This is too dark for me for a highlighter. This is too dark for me as a highlighter, and this is kind of borderline. I can make it work. Now these 3 up here I love. These work really nice. This one I can use as like a blush topper, so I have done that. This one, not really one I'm going to use. I guess I technically could use it as maybe an eyeshadow topper or something like that, but I mean, I have so many eyeshadows, I'm not going to just reach for a highlighter palette to do that. But I will say, since I can use at least 3 and then possibly the 4th, and then even this as a blush topper, that is enough to keep it in my collection. That and the formula is great. I kind of sad that I didn't really discover BH Cosmetics till they were almost out of business. And you know, I kind of went to all like the discount stores and even like Ulta and stuff whenever they were getting rid of that brand and finding them on sale. And then I've got quite a bit of the travel palettes and the brunch palettes, quite a bit of the face palettes and things like that that I either, you know, hunted down at stores or I bought off Poshmark or Macari. And so far, between last month, I think it was last month, might have been the month before, the Froze highlighting palette, that was a really good one. I will say I like that one more than I like this one, but I still really like this one. But today for the highlight on the face, I'm going to go in between Charmed. You know what? I'm just going to go all out. I'm going to mix Dublin, Charmed, and Golden, these top 3 shades here. And I'm just using a Laura Lee Los Angeles L35 brush. This brand does not exist anymore. She did shut down her doors, so you can't really get this brush anymore from her anyways. Now these are your typical like blinding icy highlights. You guys can see that. So pretty. Love it. I know that's not really the thing right now. Now, I love a good glowy highlighter. I do. But these are the smooth, beamy highlighters that were popular like 2016, 17, 18 time frame. Those I love still yet. What I'm not a big fan of is chunky glitter highlights. But these I love. So that being said, this is staying in my collection. You guys can see how gorgeous. I mean, that's just mixing those top 3 shades all together. But even separately, you guys can see I use them in the shorts as well, single and mixed and all that kind of stuff. So they look gorgeous that way too. I just always like to go over with my sponge just to kind of mesh everything together. Alright, so we have the ColourPop one. Like I said, love ColourPop's Supershock formula pretty much in everything they do. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use this in my brow bone today. So we're just going to put it right up here because I think it's going to go really nice. Yes, that is what I wanted. Because it's like this icy white shade. It's almost got a hint of blue to it, which I think is going to help work with this bluish green eye look. Yes, love that. Such a nice formula. I mean, this is like ColourPop's old school product. Pretty sure this is how ColourPop started actually, is their Supershock shadows, if I remember correctly. Love, love, love. So anytime these are part of a collection, I always add them in because I know I'm going to like them. Long as they fit me shade range wise. Okay. So let's set the face and then we'll go back to the eyes. So to set the face, the powder that was chosen is from TYS Beauty in the shade Heaven. I don't really know much about this brand. I will say this powder doesn't really do a good job of holding back oils, but it does do a good job of kind of smoothing, making the skin look a little more, I don't want to say glowy, because it does mattify a little bit, but not enough to really hold my oil back. I just use a big fluffy brush with this one, so I use it with a puff too, but I typically like to use a big fluffy brush with my pressed powders. I also have used this to kind of help blend out some shadow that was giving me some issues. And it works well for that. Just a little trick if you don't know. You can use your setting powders to help blend your eyeshadows. If you don't have a shade to blend with in the palette, you can always use your setting powder. But as you guys can see, it just kind of helps add a little smoothing, little fresh look to it. But again, not really good in my opinion at holding back oil. So let's see here. Then we're going to set with the setting spray, and this is the Benefit, the POREFESSIONAL Supersetter Long Lasting Makeup Setting Spray. This one I thought I was going to be finished with by now, but there was way more in here than I thought there was. So I just shake it up, and I like to spray quite a lot. Okay. Alright, so the sprayer is not horrible, but it's also not one that has like a super fine mist like a lot of them have nowadays. I just like to go back over with my sponge to help blend and pat that in. But it's not one that like spews sporadic dots all over your face either. Now, as far as the long lasting makeup cleans, I have ones that do last better on me than this one. This one does last a decent amount of time, but it's not one that's going to last me like all day. But it is a decent setting spray. I will say it probably lasts me a good 6 to 8 hours before my oil starts breaking through with it. Honestly, the ones that I like to use for more longevity is, of course, the One Size Beauty one. Of course, the ones I like to use for more longevity is, of course, the One Size one. The dupe for that, which is the L'Oreal, that's like straight up hairspray, basically. The Urban Decay All Nighter. That is the old version. I have not tried the new version since they've parted ways with Scandinavia. So we shall see. I think, I'm not sure. Christian, who owns CXC Beauty, he might have just recently posted using the new one, I think, doing a test. So maybe check that out. His screen name is CXC Beauty because he owns CXC Beauty here in Merritt Island area. So yeah, maybe check that out for his comparison if I'm not wrong. Okay, so this is the face. Looking nice. Like I said, there's a couple things that I didn't like that were more personal preference, and then just faulty packaging, drying formulas, too quick drying, things like that. But you know, I talked about it as I was applying things. Yeah, see, on camera, because the lights help kind of smooth and stuff, but in person, the foundation is looking too heavy on me. I'm seeing it clinging right through here into textures and pores that are larger on me. It's doing an okay job today because I applied more blurring primer up there with not settling into my fine lines as much today in my forehead and my wrinkles. But yeah, it's too full coverage for my liking, like I said, and it just clings too much. But the biggest thing is the fragrance. Everything else, though, is looking nice. Yeah, that liquid highlighter Yeah, it's just that puff and that quick drying formula just doesn't let it sit the way it needs to sit. So I'm hoping they discontinue that, or maybe work on the formula and put it in a different packaging. So that's my only critiques with the face makeup. Everything else pretty decent. Let's go back to eyeshadow now. So we have the single shadow that was picked, which is the ColourPop A Little Quarky. I'm not going to use this today, but I did use it in a quick, I had to be ready in 10 minutes kind of thing, short that's up. And I have used it quite a lot as an inner corner. If I don't like how the inner corner shadow is going to look that I want to use from the palette, then I might top this over it. I will say this is an older one, I believe. Yeah, A Little Quarky, I'm pretty sure is an older one. So I think this one might be starting to dry out a little bit because it's, I'll have to look it up because it says it's supposed to be an ultra glitter. But I feel like it is more, performing more like a glitter topper shade when I use it. So I'll have to look to see if there's supposed to be any kind of base pigment to that one. But today, what I want to do, so that I can say I've pretty much used all the shimmers in this palette for this look, is I want to put Apparition, which is this like very pretty light purple. I want to put it on my inner corner. Find a pencil brush. I'm just going to use this one from Glamlite and Nightmare on Elm Street. Okay. And I'm just going to put that right here in the inner corner. Yeah, that's pretty. I think this one might make a nice face highlight too. If you wanted to use it that way. I know Battybean tends to do that with her palettes. There's usually at least one in there that she tends to use as a highlighter too. Yeah, I really like that. That's very pretty. Okay, so let's do the under eye now. And so to do the under eye, we need the eyeliner. So the eyeliner that was picked is from NYX. This is the retractable eyeliner in silver. And I have been feeling like this silver shade is very nice. It's pretty much been going with almost all the looks. I think there was one that I used a green instead, like a teal shade. And we're just going to put this in the waterline. Okay, and you see it's just kind of brightening up my waterline. We'll see how well it stays because my eyes have been watering a lot lately. But as you can see, it just kind of amps up the eyes a little bit more. I am beginning to wonder if I have a little bit of an allergy to the NYX formula though, because my eyes tend to water a little more when using this one as opposed to the ColourPop ones. Alright, so we're just going to take a smudge brush and we're going to go into pretty much the same mattes that I used at the top. We're going to start with the darkest one, which is Dairy. Tap that off. I'm going to put that on the outer edge here and going not all the way in, but just to the center. Yes. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to clean that brush off. And then I want to go into Atoms, which is that turquoisey matte. Going to go under that purple. clean the brush off again. And I'm going to go into Trappa. Use that one. Going to add that one in. Go under. And then lastly, we're going to go into Spooky. And I'm coming pretty far down since I'm applying so many mattes. Okay, and then I need to change out my battery. It's blinking at me. I'll be right back and we're going to put a shimmer on this lower lash line. Alright, I am back and I have to change my battery, so there might be a little bit of a different view there. Alright, so lower lash line, I think I'm going to go in with a little bit of Sam and a little bit of Zero on the lower lash line. And I'm just going to take this really skinny Game Beauty brush. It's an E05. And I'm going to go into Sam first. And I'm just going to put that right here. Okay, clean that off. And I'm going to go into Zero. And I'm going to put that right in between that inner corner and Sam. Alright, so let's talk about the palette now that I've finished with the eyes, except for mascara and stuff, which we'll do in a little bit. Well, I hate what happened with the brand. I don't think that was very cool of what they did. I've talked about this with my husband. If you own a business, I feel like you really should have someone set up to take over for you when anything happens. Because, I mean, like, big corporations and stuff, they can't just let things sit and nobody do anything, you know? But I know, like, you gotta kind of have the money to hire someone else, or, you know, have someone you trust in your family, that kind of thing. So, there is that. But I do love supporting Betty Jean, who is now Battybean, used to be Butte Bean, here on YouTube. She's a very sweet person based on the interactions I've had with her online via messaging and stuff. So I really like when creators are more, you can tell they're more down to earth and are not caught up in the whole social media world, you know? And she, to me, seems like that person. So I think she's very, very sweet. So I love supporting her. Not to mention, she is very, very talented. She does hair for her, like, her regular everyday job, I guess you'd say. And she's very talented in that too, based on the pictures and stuff I've seen. But I really, really like how she can come up with all these different color combinations and is able to make them blend and work and add all these, like, intricate details and stuff to it. Yes, I know there are, you know, people who do a little more intricate and things than she does, but I will say she's very, very talented, so she does deserve all the accolades that she gets on here and stuff. The formulas. So, I will say, myself, when I'm dealing with darker shades, like I said, I'm not a professional makeup artist, I'm just a makeup enthusiast. So when I'm dealing with darker shades, it's a little harder for me to blend them sometimes. I'm trying to practice, get better with time, and trust me, my skills have gotten better from where they were when I first started with makeup and stuff. I feel like, for the most part, these were pretty easy to blend. I had some issues with this shade, and I believe it was this shade, where sometimes they would get a little patchy on me, but I think that was me and my experience of not knowing how to work on the blend with darker shades. I feel like, and I've noticed when a darker matte is very, very pigmented is when I have a harder time with it. So that is one thing I will say with this, with me and my experience. These shimmers are where this palette really, really stands out, because I love every single one of these shimmers that is in this palette. They are gorgeous. They are high impact, beautiful, and they blend really well with each other when they go in. That's what I mean by her creating color stories that just kind of work together, even though sometimes they're contrasting colors. It's just really, really nice. So definitely going to be staying in my collection, and happy that I got it. The single shadow, the ColourPop one, it's very nice. I know we didn't use it today, but like I said, I used it in some of the other looks, the shorts. Like I said, it may be drying out on me a little bit. I have to look it up to see if it's supposed to be have a base pigment or not, but to me it's just performing like a topper shade at the moment. So we'll see if that survives, because I'm not a big topper shade person. I know that's like popular right now, but it's not my favorite. The eyeliner, really nice. I will say I prefer the NYX Epic Wear liners more than the retractable ones, just because these tend to break a little easier on me than that. And like I said, I'm wondering if I have an issue with the formula in these, since my eyes are watering more when I apply it than with other brands. But we'll see. I'll keep using, you know, the NYX brand and stuff, see how I feel, if that keeps happening. Okay, so mascara that was picked is my Charmacy Milano mascara. And you guys know this is my favorite mascara. I rave about it all the time. First time I ever got to try it was in an Ice Cream Beauty box, and I've already bought 2 backups. I will say I'm probably going to end up having to try to get a third if I can, because this one is pretty much on its last legs. It's time for it to go, because it's starting to get dry. So I am going to curl my lashes. And after we do mascara, then we'll work on a lip combo. I'm not going to be able to use all the lip products, obviously, today, but I have used them in other videos. I will say one of my lip stains is missing. I have to see if I can find it. I may have lost it, like out and about. Aha, no, it's in here. I must have found it. Okay, never mind. Scratch what I just said, because I thought I had lost it, because I could not find it the other day. Okay, now let's do the mascara. Now the only critique I will have for this mascara is I would like a one that is a little smaller, a little skinnier. That's the only critique I have for this mascara, but it is very nice at adding volume and length to my lashes. Yeah, it's definitely getting dry, so please try not to judge it too much on its performance today. And again, like I've said before, I'm not the best person to test mascara on, because I have very little thin lashes that are not very long. But anything that gives me any kind of volume, I really like, and that is nice and pigmented. this one, you can build it and it doesn't feel heavy on the lashes. Doesn't get all droopy like some of them I try to build up. Like I said, this is getting the last legs. I'm trying to like dig in here to get the excess. I've used it a lot. We'll have to look and make sure that's not my last fresh one. I'm hoping not. But if it is, I'm going to have to force myself to go through all my other mascaras before I purchase another one. Okay. Now, since this one is a kind of a lengthening, volumizing one, I tend not to like to use it on my bottom lash line. I like something a little more subdued and natural on my bottom lashes. So I've just been kind of using another mascara I've been trying to use up, which is the Maybelline Great Lash Lots of Lashes, because I like this little wand that is on here. It makes it easier for me to do my bottom lashes. And I mean, this is an old school mascara. It's been around for a really long time. And I love the fact that they keep with the pink and green packaging. Reminds me of the 80s. It's pretty much getting on its last legs now too. So both of these will probably definitely be going into my empties soon. Okay, you guys can see. Very nice mascara. Love it. One of my favorites. Okay, now, you know what? Let's do this. I can't do the lip stains because obviously they'll stain my lips and then I can't get them off. But I can probably do one lip combo before I go and finish getting ready, dressed and all that, and then come back and do my final lip combo. So let's go with that. Before I do, let's talk about this eyeliner. So this is the Twilight Vampire Graphics eyeliner from ColourPop. I did use this in one look. I kind of did like a graphic wing across the top of my lid. I'll try to pop a picture up here from my phone. I just kind of added it to another look that I did. I did not film myself using it though, but I'll try to pop the picture up on here, and I might end up posting it over on Instagram too. So this one was not dried out, so that was nice, because you know we haven't been having luck with that. I will say maybe it's just because I'm not great with liquid liner. I've been trying to practice kind of on my off time, own time, and all that kind of stuff. It's very difficult, especially since I have kind of a shaky hand and a lid that likes to flutter. It's very difficult for me to try to do liquid liners. I will say this was very pigmented, and it did stand out once I got it on. I did have a little bit of issue trying to kind of draw a straight line with it, but again, that could be user error. But happy I finally got one that was not dried out. Okay, so the lip stains. So we picked 2 lip stains for this month since it's spooky season. And we did they're both CoverGirl. It's our Outlast lip stain in Spiderweb and in Spooky Bat. And you know what I'll do? I did use these in a video. I will say I prefer using these more as lip liner as opposed to a lip stain. I feel like when I try to use them as a lip stain, they're a little difficult to kind of get an even application. So this is what they look like. Pretty similar. One is a little darker, more of a plummy purple into black almost, which is Spider's Web. And then Spooky Bat is the more purpley one, which is right here. So you can see this one's a little more reddy burgundy, and then this one's just more traditional purple. Okay, let me see if I can get these off my hand real quick. Yeah. So they're just gonna have to wear off, but I'm taking a makeup wipe and I'm really scrubbing so I can kind of show you. See, they do stain. They do leave behind a stain, you guys can see. So I do really like them for lip liner type purpose because they do work well for that. Like I said, trying to apply them all over, especially right in this inner part of my lip, they start to get kind of patchy, and the pigment looks like, it'll look like I have a darker rim, darker shade on the inner rim of my lip as opposed to the rest of my lip. I just don't like how that looks. So that's my critique of those. Okay, lip liner. So we had two lip liners that were chosen. We had the ColourPop So Juicy Mocha Latte Plumping lip liner, and then the ColourPop Blue Chic lip liner, which is a black. I've used both of these in more than one look. The ColourPop So Juicy lip liners. I think I'm someone who is very sensitive to lip plumpers, because even the ones that are minty, I can tolerate, but sometimes they get intense. This one is a little more minty, yes, but I can't handle it. I start having to take it off my lips after about 5 minutes. So since I'm not going to be keeping it on very long, I'm going to go ahead and apply this on so you guys can see what it looks like. And you can smell, as soon as you open it, you can smell that minty plumping. It is very creamy. Now I do feel like it feathers into the lines a little bit. On my lips, but it is a very nice formula. As you guys can see, very creamy, and I do feel like it plumps my lips, especially if I keep it on long enough. I have a decent sized lower lip. My upper lip is not as plump as I'd like it. It's a lot thinner, so I do wish I could tolerate these things more, simply because of that. So we're going to use the hot chocolate gloss from Glamlite to go with this, because they make a very nice pair. Now, so that's what we're looking like with those two together. Sometimes, because this is such a creamy formula and then I go in with a gloss, I have to kind of go back in and finesse, because it tends to go away a little bit, which is what's going on right now. So sometimes I have to go back in and kind of add my line back. In. And I'm already feeling it. It becomes too much of a burny, tingly sensation for me, and I can't handle it. So I'm gonna go ahead and take it off before I get super irritated. that is that lip combo. I did do it, I believe, in another video. Very nice, very pretty. Okay. And I'm just going to go back over with my sponge and my powder puff. Okay, so that leaves this lip liner and this lipstick. When I come back, we'll try it out. We'll see how these two look together. But most likely I'll probably end up hunting down the lip liner that goes with this one. Have a little more natural look, but we'll see. Maybe they'll go together decent. We'll give it a try. But yeah, you guys, I just told you how I felt about the So Juicy lip liners. I wanted to give them a try, but yeah, they're just too intense for me too. I just think I'm gonna have to give up on plumping stuff. You guys know I love my Glamlite glosses. This one smells so good. Smells like chocolate, very creamy, very like nourishing, glowy. Love. Alright, so let me go finish getting dressed. I'll be right back, and we'll do the last lip combo, and we'll talk about the fragrance. Be right back. Okay guys, I am back, and I did fix my hair, put some accessories in. I thought I'd put some little bat earrings in, a little nod to Battybean there, and a little cleaver necklace since it is spooky season. Alright, so let's do a lip combo. We're going to try the black lip liner from ColourPop, which is Pool Chic. Again, that's my pet peeve, is see how that happens with the old school ColourPop lip liners. I don't see that happening with the newer ones they're doing, so I think they may have fixed the issue. Okay. Nice black lip liner. I could go darker if I wanted, but I'm going kind of light-handed today. And then we're going to go in with ColourPop Bratz Lippie Stick in Bunny Boo. See how this looks together. It's okay. It's not horrible. Let me go back in with the lip liner. Okay, so that is the ColourPop Bratz Lippie Stick in Bunny Boo and the ColourPop Lippie Pencil in Pool Chic together. I am going to take it off because I don't really, it's not really my thing. I don't think it goes very well with the eyes. But there is that combo. And I think I might just skip lip liner today. I might just do the Lippie Stick and that's it. Yeah, I think I'm just going to stick with that. Just kind of my lips, but a little bit better. Alright, so let's talk about the fragrance now, and then I will give you my top 3 and my top bottom for the month. Okay, so this is the Sabrina Carpenter Sweet Tooth Me Espresso fragrance. This is the newest one in the line. I did hear she's got another one coming out, but it's going to be lemon scented, I think, or some sort of citrus. But this is the Me Espresso. So it says the main accords: sweet coffee, white floral, lactonic, caramel, amber, cacao, floral, and vanilla. Top notes, espresso, cappuccino, and cocoa. Middle notes are biscuit, jasmine, vanilla orchid. Base notes are whipped cream, caramel, and amber, according to Fragrantica. Let's just spray her. This is the new minis that came out via Ulta that she came out with. I got the whole set. And then I do have the, not the biggest bottle, but the second full-size bottle that she has. I do have that. I did put some in this too, so that I could take it in my purse if I wanted to. So, just spraying into the bottle, it smells very sweet, and I get a hint. I get the hint of coffee in there, but it's not overly coffee to me. Sprayer on this is really nice. Now when I spray it, what I get in the air more is, I kind of get a hint of that caramel that's in there. Still just a teeny bit of a coffee smell, which, I mean, it's called Me Espresso. I don't know, it smells more sweet, which I know the line is called Sweet Tooth, but I get more the caramel. I don't really get any of the amber. What other ones does it say? Don't really get the vanilla too much. Definitely whipped cream caramel scent I get. Maybe the hint of like a very faint cocoa bean is what I get. But I don't get like freshly brewed coffee or anything like that. So I guess sweet, faint baked good coffee. Again, I'm not a fragrance person. I'm just trying to tell you kind of how it smells to me and what I get. I do like the smell. Out of all of hers, it's not my most favorite though. I would say the caramel is probably my #1 favorite, and then the original Sweet Tooth would be my second favorite. This one is probably last on my totem pole, because I even like the cherry before I like this one. So I still like it, don't get me wrong, but it's not my favorite fragrance out of hers. Longevity wise, this tends to last me about 4 hours on the skin. On clothing, maybe another hour and a half afterward. So it's not the most long wearing fragrance, so that is why it's not the most long wearing fragrance, so that is why I did squirt some in a travel bottle to take with me from the big bottle before I bought this one, but I've been using this one now, taking with me in my purse if I want to refresh my fragrance throughout the day. So there is that. I will say her brand's pretty affordable, her fragrances, if I remember correctly. Let me go back here. So yeah, the full set of these is $45 on Ulta. And I think what's the size on these? Not sure. These are 10 milliliters. That's what size these are. So there's that. The full size. So for a 1 ounce is $35. And for a 2.5 ounce is $55. It's kind of like that middle price point. It kind of falls in line with like Dolly Beauty and Britney fragrances, that price range. So yeah, you don't get super longevity with ones that fall in that price range, so it kind of makes sense. But that being said, when they don't last as long, you are going to go through it quicker. So they do need to be kind of cheaper because of that. So there's that part of it. Packaging, love the packaging, even these cute little mini ones she did. Let me just show you the picture of the full size, since I don't have my full size back here with me. So the full sizes look like basically a chocolate bar. I don't know if it's going to show. The full sizes look like a little chocolate bar. Very nice. I think the packaging is really cute. And then it says like Sweet Tooth on the side, like this one does. It says Sweet Tooth down the side by Sabrina Carpenter. I do wish that like on the other side they would put the name of the fragrance too, like Mi Espresso on it, instead of like a sticker on the bottom. You know, I think that would be a nice little thing to add. But I like the fragrance. I think it's really nice. Don't really have too much to critique about it. I mean, if you're expecting like a super like coffee scent, this may not be for you, because this is more like a sweet, caramelly, whipped cream with a hint of coffee scent, in my opinion. So there's that. Okay, so let's go over my top 3 from this month. So I'd say my top 3 would be I'd say the palette would definitely be one of them. It just, mostly for the shimmers, I'll say, because I feel like the shimmers are what really bump this palette up for me. The mattes are not my favorite, but they're also not the worst I've ever used either. But the shimmers are what really make it for me. The second would probably be, oh, definitely the Milani blurring primer. This is excellent. One of my favorite blurring primers. Again, gotta get used to the cooling scent, and initially where I thought I was gonna have an issue with it because it was itching when I first used it. I haven't had that problem since, knock on wood. But I think some people, I'm not sure, because you know how you hear things online, but I think some people may have had some reactions to this. But with any product out there, that could be a possibility for anybody. Third top one, I'm gonna say the ColourPop Bronze Stick. Very creamy, very easy to use, nice shade. Really like this. Okay, and my bottom 3 would definitely be, where is it? Did I throw it away already? Oh, it's right in front of me. Okay, this is definitely one of my bottoms for sure. Packaging, even like the packaging, applicator, all of it. Just nope. Will not ever repurchase this product. They need to put the formula, they need to thin the formula out and put it into something different. Hate this. Hate this. And it's all in my plastic container, even though I've been wiping it off. My second bottom would probably be the Glamlite Garfield Coffee Lip Scrub, just simply because the coffee scent is way too strong in this for me. I will say, if you want to love a coffee scent though, and you want Glamlite, this is more of a coffee scent than this is. So maybe you could, for people who do love this, maybe market that scent as a fragrance for people. Not me. but for others. Okay, so there's that one. And then my third, I would probably say, do I have a third? Yeah, my third would be, okay, so my third would be the Kiss Glamlite eye primer in black. I don't know how much of this is user error or not, but I felt like when I would blend this out, it would lose some pigmentation and almost look patchy in areas. Again, could be user error because I'm not good at using these color pigment bases, so there's that. But because of that, and me not liking how any of my makeup really looked with it, it's gonna be in my bottom three. So there we go. There's my top three and my bottom three. Okay, stay tuned, guys. The video I will be working on film next will be the spin wheel or roulette wheel to pick out November's products. Let me know in the comments down below how you're feeling about this series, if you like it or not. Not getting as many views as I want. Well, the shorts are, but that's because YouTube keeps pushing the shorts more out into the algorithm. And to be honest, most people nowadays like to scroll on their phone and watch things quickly. So these longer videos don't do as well, which is kind of a shame because they take me a lot longer to film and a lot longer to edit. But I'm still doing them because I feel like they're very helpful to let everyone know kind of how I'm feeling about these products at the end of the month, which is the point of this series. And, you know, it helps me out a lot deciding what I want to keep and what I don't want to keep in my collection, which will help me later in purchasing, to keep me from purchasing things I know I'm not going to like just because they're new. Yeah, so I hope you guys are enjoying this series. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you have any of these products you like, you hate? Let me know down in the comments. Alright, if you guys would please like and subscribe, it really helps me out and I would appreciate it. I am trying to reach 500 subscribers by the end of the year. I am currently at 370 at the moment with this filming this video, so we're getting there. Like I said, as soon as I hit 500 subscribers, I plan to do a giveaway, so stay tuned for that. I'm really trying. The end of the year is approaching very quickly. There's really only November and then we got December and that's it. So I really could use your guys' help to subscribe. Alright, until next time, guys. Bye.